Alright, well, the review for this film was due about a week ago, but I've also been very busy trying to make my own film, so I'm very sorry about that. But here I am, here you are. Here's the review for Spider-Man Homecoming. Let's cut the shit and get right into it.
Actually, I still haven't eaten yet. I gotta eat.
Well, now that my sub has had its way with me, let's actually cut the shit and get right into it, which is exactly what this movie does. No unnecessary origin stories. We've seen Peter Parker become Spider-Man more times than we've seen Bruce Wayne's parents get shot at this point. So thankfully, we don't have that here. We also find out where the villain is coming from very shortly on in the movie, and then right away, we get into the movie. And what is the movie? Spider-Man Homecoming shows us a 15-year-old Peter Parker going through grade 10 and dealing with a lot of new obstacles and responsibilities that are entering his life for the first time. Not only is he having to deal with the responsibility of being Spider-Man, but he's also dealing with responsibilities at school, his friends, his family, his crushes. A lot of stuff on this dude's plate right now, and not a whole lot of experience. Safe to say he's just getting into the swing of things. But yeah, so likes, dislikes. I'm just gonna get the dislikes out of the way right now because, to be honest with you guys, I don't have that many. I found that it sometimes had a lot of that typical superhero Marvel dialogue that I'm sort of getting a little sick of at this point. Even in some of Marvel's better movies, they have a lot of this dialogue, like in Civil War. You guys know the stuff that I'm talking about. This is my chance to prove myself. You gotta let me do this. Most of this dialogue comes in at the first act of the film, mainly with Peter and his buddy Ned. In fact, I found Peter's friend Ned to be slightly annoying for the first act of the film. I think he had a lot of funny lines and moments, but at first I just saw him as the typical comedic sidekick role. There's this scene at a house party where they throw in the typical nerdy kids trying to become popular by any means necessary cliche, and I don't know, it just didn't really sit well with me. That being said, I think that he really improves as a character throughout the movie and really shows off his effectiveness when the third act rolls around. But other than that, I have to say, I was very happy with this film. Spider-Man is my favorite superhero growing up. I know I don't got him back here or anything like that, but I can assure you, he used to be my favorite thing ever. My nickname to this day that my grandparents call me by is Spider, and I have severe arachnophobia. This shit's a big deal to me. And what do I think about Tom Holland? Well, I think that Tom Holland fucking nailed it! He is, without a doubt, the best rendition of Spider-Man ever put to screen so far. He did such a phenomenal job showing us all of the things that Peter Parker had to go through in this movie. I mean, his emotionality really got to me in some scenes. Holland really showed the audience that, yeah, this guy might be Spider-Man, but I mean, realistically, he's just a kid. Michael Keaton. How did I feel about Michael Keaton? Well, first off, I have to express my pure admiration for this man because I basically love him in every role that he's in. Yeah, fuck you. Even Jack Frost. Michael Keaton did an amazing job as the Vulture in this movie. He was intimidating and he was dangerous, and you could really feel the tension between him and Peter build and build as the movie progressed. But we also see a lot of morality in him and can often see where he's coming from in the film. And I think that he did a good job at being dark and sinister, but still having that good comic book villain that we want. You know? Not too dark, not too serious. I think that after The Dark Knight came out, everyone thought that every villain and everyone had to be dark and serious. I think that Keaton wrote this line perfectly. I was bringing up earlier that I found some cliches in the first act of the film with the character of Ned, but all the rest of the side characters in this film I thought were really exceptional. A lot of people in this movie that I'm quite personally fond of. There's a cameo that I didn't really expect. I won't spoil it for you guys because I thought it was great and I want you guys to appreciate it as much as I did. And if you know a little backstory behind this person and Spider-Man and everything, it was kind of cool to see him in a Spider-Man movie. But that's all I'm going to say. And the kids in the movie did a great job too. They weren't your typical high school movie kids that all fell into their little categories, alright? Which unfortunately happens way more often than not in movies these days. especially when you're focusing primarily on one character throughout the whole film. Flash Thompson threw me off guard. Flash Thompson is Peter Parker's high school bully in the comic series and the movies and everything. And I can't remember the actor's name off the top of my head, but it's Zero from the Grand Budapest Hotel. And I thought that his character did an awesome job. I've never seen him portrayed this way in a movie before, or in the comics or anything, and I thought that it was really good and very interesting and unique. I also think that they finally perfected that good old Spider-Man humor. I love the first two Raimi films. I do. In fact, even after watching this movie, I think that Spider-Man 2 might still be my favorite Spider-Man film. But I think that one thing that all of the movies prior to Homecoming lacked was the proper comedic tone. This movie knew when to be funny, and it didn't overdo it like some other films this year, and it definitely encompassed that good old friendly neighborhood Spider-Man vibe that we all know and love. Long review. Thank you for watching along this far if you have. Your reward will be me summing up this review finally. Spider-Man Homecoming was an amazing way to initiate Spider-Man into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The first act gets slightly typical to me in some scenes, but it picks right up in that second act, and that third act is just fucking awesome. I will pay to see Tom Holland as Spider-Man for years and years to come, as long as we can have him, and I'm gonna give Spider-Man Homecoming an 8 out of 10. I know I spent half the time talking about Baby Driver and I still gave it a higher rating, but whatever. I'm allowed to do that. Sometimes my reviews will be longer, sometimes they'll be shorter. But anyways, thank you for watching. I'll be back shortly. A lot of exciting movies still coming out. War for the Planet of the Apes, Dunkirk, Atomic Blonde. Shit. July's a good month for movies. Anyways, see you later.